Here are 10 crazy schools with insane rules you won't believe exist. Number 10 is pee punishment. Different cultures from around the world may agree that children need to be disciplined, but they vary drastically on their methods. Up until the 1980s, children could receive the belt or even a cane in the UK. And in other regions, they choose to make class pranksters stand outside in the cold. But in one Chinese school in Zhongshan City, simple detention would not suffice. Instead, they dished out their punishments through vegetables, and I don't mean eating them. A girl was forced to kneel on frozen peas to deter her and her fellow classmates from behaving badly. She then posted a picture of the imprints in her legs which the frozen peas had made. Now you'd think there would be some outrage about what happened to the girl, but instead the school expelled her. Oh, and they say vegetables are good for you. Veggies are the devil. Number 9 is hair dye. Kids are always going to find a way to express themselves, and one way teenagers do that is through dyeing their hair a different color. In many countries, this isn't problematic because it's somewhat expected, but for some schools in Tokyo, dyeing your hair is a red line in the sand. There are some schools in Tokyo that are so strict about natural hair color that they will put on their detective hats and try to prove that a child is dyeing their hair. This can go as far as forcing parents to provide extensive photographs of their children from when they were younger. As many as 57% of Tokyo schools take part in this practice. Kids who are found to have changed their hair color are punished for being different. Yeah, okay, well this should apply to the teachers too. I mean, they get stressed, they get gray, white hair, whatever, and if they dye it, they should get expelled. We should teach ourselves or have like a gerbil lead the class or something. What are we still talking about? Number 8 are toilet breaks. School kids have a lot on their minds. When they're on their lunch break, they might get caught up in what's happening around them, and by the time they get back to class, realize that they need to go poo-poo or pee-pee. But for one high school in Chicago, this was unacceptable. They wanted to limit how often children went to the bathroom, as they believed it took important learning time away from students. For that reason, kids were told that they could have no more than 3 toilet breaks each per semester. Any more than that, and they have to stay behind at the end of the day and make up for the lost time. Lost time? How long are these kids pooping for? Sounds like a problem in the cafeteria. Parents were furious about this strict rule, but I mean rightfully so. After all, they're the ones that have to do the laundry. Think about it. Teacher, I have to go. You can't go. Mommy's gotta clean that up. Number 7 is mob justice. If Lord of the Flies has taught us anything, it's that children are great and fair at punishing each other. Oh wait. Other way around. Well, one 4th grade teacher in Idaho must have made the same mistake, as she decided that letting the class decide a fellow student's punishment was a good idea. But this teacher went one step further. She would give her students options. For example, kids who read too slow in her class could either have their faces written on by classmates or miss recess. Teacher, I drew a peenie on Michael's face. That's right, their fellow classmates got to decide what punishment they get. Parents were appalled, and the teacher was rightfully disciplined for bullying the children. In my opinion, the kids should have gotten to decide their own punishment. Oh, teacher, I did bad. Well, I don't like eating Sour Patch Kids. You better give me Sour Patch Kids so I can eat the Sour Patch Kids. Yucky, yucky. They're so good. Number 6 are silent cheers. If there's one thing that really gets my goat, it's clapping or celebrating of any kind. I mean, really, who wants the adulation of a crowd to be celebrated? Ugh, not me. I hate it. Leave a like on this video. Anyway, a school in Australia decided that celebrating or applauding had to be stopped, so they outright banned clapping and cheering. Children instead had been told to cheer silently, which includes quietly fist pumping the air. Now, on the face of it, this ban seems pretty strange, which it is. And there are other schools that have banned clapping because they hate the noise. But in the case of Elanora Heights Public School in Australia, they're doing this to show solidarity with a teacher who has a hearing condition, which makes loud noises painful. Okay, this one's actually nice. I think we should applaud their efforts. Silently, guys, silently. Have some consideration. Number 5 is keep it clean. Keep it clean doesn't refer to bad language, no. It refers to keeping the whole school itself clean. In most Western countries, schools are cleaned by janitors. Really, the most kids are expected to do is refrain from graffiti or dropping litter. But in Japan, many schools teach the kids to clean the classrooms, halls, and playgrounds. At the end of each day, it's not uncommon in these schools to see students mopping floors and wiping down tables and chairs. Kids are even expected to clean the toilets. Hey Johnny, just had Taco Bell, enjoy that one. Now this might seem like a punishment, but it's actually used instead to teach responsibility and respect for one's surroundings. It's believed that kids feel more invested in a school if they have to take care of it during the day. I'm all for this, especially if we can train these kids to come clean houses, like mine. Seriously, there's a layer of dust in here so thick it's like a crypt. Number 4, our shoes are evil. Okay, well there's no school rule that actually says shoes are evil, but you'd be forgiven for thinking that some schools in Sweden and Finland believe that. In some schools, it's absolutely forbidden for kids to wear shoes. That's right, they have to go barefoot. Kind of like hobbits. You know, but without the adventures. Anyway. Most glaringly, it stops mud and snow from being dragged through the school. Wait, snow? They're making walk in snow? What's wrong with these people? But in general, it cuts down on damage and cleanup. But more surprisingly, a study which looked at schools from 25 different countries who likewise banned shoes found that children performed better. Yeah, because they weren't thinking about recess in the snow. They didn't want to go out there, they just want to stay inside. I'll do my homework. And classrooms were actually quieter and calmer for it. So I guess for educators, shoes are actually evil. But so is frostbite, so let's keep kids with shoes on, okay? Let's not be insane about it. Number 3 is no hugging. A school in Northampton, England banned its students from hugging each other. Not only that, but even holding hands, high-fiving, or shaking hands was banned too. The school completely outlawed any form of touching. The reasoning behind this was that if no one was allowed to touch each other, then this would teach students how to respect a person's personal space. However, many parents believed that it would actually have the exact opposite effect and stop children from establishing personal boundaries. Not touching you, not touching you. You can't do anything about it, I'm not touching you. We always hated that kid in school. Others supported the rule because they believed it would reduce bullying such as punching, kicking, and shoving. There are other schools that have such policies, but it's difficult not to think that banning any type of touching will just make kids want to do it more. Not touching you, not touching you, nothing you can do about it. Oh, what are you gonna do? I'm not touching ya. Number 2 is no thumbs up. It's not just physical contact which is banned. In some schools, certain gestures are completely out of the question. This won't surprise you, as giving your teacher the finger isn't the smartest thing that you can do. But in countries such as Iran and Afghanistan, giving a thumbs up to your teacher or fellow classmate is seen as just as bad, if not worse. In these countries, a thumbs up is an obscene gesture which basically means sit on it. Yeah, sit on it. It's basically the equivalent of giving someone the finger in a Western country. In Iran and Afghanistan, there are strict codes of conduct in school and in society at large. If you break these codes by being obscene or disrespectful, then this can get you into some hot water. Wait a minute, how the heck does the like system work in these countries on YouTube? Okay everybody, let's get 10,000 up yourses on this video. And number 1 is no red ink. Oh, the dreaded red ink on your paper. A giant red F is engraved into your work, looking like a symbol drawn in the blood of Satan himself. Okay, maybe I'm going a little too far with the imagery, but a fail written in red can be the stuff of nightmares for a student. In the UK and Australia, however, there are certain schools which have banned the use of red ink entirely. The reason behind this is that red is believed to be a confrontational color. Yeah, this is the world we live in, folks. Just a bunch of snowflakes. Apparently, when kids see this ink, it's too in their face and can cause insecurities and anxiety. Yeah. Teachers at these schools are banned from using red ink and must use more soothing colors such as yellow, green, and blue. Number 1 is the one-child law in China. First off, obviously, in most developed nations, people are free to get it on and have as many kids as they want, except when it comes to China. China has had an overpopulation problem for decades. In fact, they're the most populated country on the planet with about 1.4 billion people. Because of this, the Chinese government decided to step into its own citizens' bedrooms and tell them what they can and cannot do, specifically bump uglies. That's right, they literally made a law that says you are only allowed to have one child in China. The one-child policy was enacted in the 1970s and was extremely controversial for obvious reasons. But what they didn't expect is that it had a devastating effect on many people, specifically families that had newborn girls, as many were abandoned or even killed because they wouldn't carry on the family name through marriage. But in the end, they accomplished what they wanted. The Chinese government estimates that upwards of 400 million births were prevented because of this law. And it wasn't until recently in 2015 that the government just started to relax this law and occasionally allow 2 offspring, mostly because there are now far far more males than females in China. China literally created their own sausage party. It must be hard to get a date. Number 2 is the dyeing bunny law in Ohio. Apparently, so many people in Ohio were dyeing rabbits that they had to make a law to prevent it. According to Ohio law, no person or company is allowed to dye or otherwise color any rabbit, baby chick, or duckling. Furthermore, no person, firm, or corporation can sell or even give away a colored bunny or baby poultry, even if the dyeing occurred out of state. Okay, so the people in Ohio have an obsession with Easter apparently, so this law was made to protect bunnies and chicks. Okay, I get it. Oh man, wait, there's more. As if this law wasn't already weird enough, lawmakers decided to add in, presumably just because, a clause that says that no poultry younger than 4 weeks can be sold or given away in lots of less than 6. Because why not? No separating them baby chicks from their brethren, you monsters. I have no real idea why this law was created or how those two things I just discussed are related, but Ohio citizens, let's have a little talk for a moment. You may want to get on your lawmakers to do something important, because at the moment it would seem like they need something to do. Hey John, did we get paid this month no matter what? You betcha. Let's make a crazy law. Bunnies? Bunnies. Number 3 is the no crotch grabbing law in Italy. In Italy, people are very superstitious, and one thing that they're superstitious about is the evil eye. The evil eye is basically when someone wishes bad upon you, and that's no good. So, how do you ward it off? Obviously, you grab your junk. Yes, it has been a long-standing tradition that men will grab their nards if a hearse passes by or while discussing serious illness. However, recently the Supreme Court ruled that citizens are to act in accordance with public decency and that everyone must abstain from conduct that is potentially offensive to collectively held feelings or decorum. In other words, stop grabbing your dick. The government feels that you should not be touching that area until you're in the privacy of your own home. And yes, they are enforcing this law. Recently, a 42-year-old man from Como broke this law by shifting his junk in public and was caught by a police officer. So you might be thinking, what did he get? Like a little slap on the wrist? Well, not quite. The man was fined 200 euro in order to pay an additional 1,000 euro in legal costs. Feel free to do the conversion to your own currency, but trust me when I say that's a lot of money just to touch the one-eyed willy. Number 4 is the no cheating law in India. If you live in India and are thinking of cheating on your next exam, don't. Oh, but Matt, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'll tell you. In 1997, a law was passed in India making it super illegal to cheat on any academic test. And I say super illegal because unlike here in North America, where we might, at most get expelled from the institution that we're enrolled in India, cheaters can face up to 10 years behind bars. This law is meant to prevent unfair practices in academic examinations, and believe me, it is strictly upheld. In fact, in June of 2016, a 17-year-old girl named Ruby Ray ranked first in her state exams, which is great, except that they were skeptical of her, so she was retested, failed, and thus sent to prison. But this really shouldn't be that shocking. India is super tough with their laws. There's another law that says you will face a 5-year prison sentence just for possessing beef, even if it's in the privacy of your own home. So yeah, just something to think about if you feel like slacking on studying or even just have a hankering for steak. Number 5 is the no potato hoarding law in Australia. And the weird train continues. If you live in Western Australia, be careful how many potatoes that you have in your possession because you could literally be breaking the law. In Western Australia, it is illegal to possess more than 50 kilograms of potatoes. Now, before you go thinking that that's a lot, for context, this is a 4.5 kilogram bag. So if you have 11 of these, which could happen, say, if you're throwing a big party or something, you guys will be hanging out and all of a sudden, what's that? Whoop whoop, that's the sound of the police. This antiquated law was a product of regulation for food during the Great Depression and post-war period. They take their spuds so seriously down under that there is literally a potato board that oversees not only the production of potatoes from farmers, but helps lawmakers enforce this law. Oh, but that's just one law. Nope, there are more. Other antiquated laws include a requirement for bars to stable water and feed the horses of their patrons if they have one. I guess a horse wouldn't be drinking and driving. There was another law that required taxi cabs to carry a bale of hay in the trunk, and finally, children are not allowed to purchase cigarettes, but they can smoke them. Number 6 is the no dueling law in Canada. Canada is mostly known for being a peaceful, pacifist country that doesn't like conflict, so of course fighting would be outlawed. Except, as a Canadian, I can confidently say that we went a bit too far on this one. According to the Criminal Code of Canada, anyone who challenges or attempts by any means to provoke another person into a duel or even a fight has committed an indictable offense. Yeah, okay, let's first put aside the obvious oddity of the mentioning of dueling, as I don't know anyone that carries around a sword with them. However, fighting of course is still something that occasionally happens, except that those who start a fight in Canada probably aren't aware of the heavy consequence. Literally, just by provoking a fight, like, you know, a little poke, little push, they can be subject to imprisonment for a term of up to 2 full years. Gather around, children, it's law class time. To put that into context, you could grow 500 weed plants for the intent of trafficking illegal marijuana and get 6 months less jail time than for pushing someone. Any questions? Number 7 is the no idiots can vote law in New Mexico. Oh my god. Oh, Matt, resist making a political joke. Resist. Okay, the best thing about a democracy is the freedom that everyone has to vote for anyone or anything. Well, the state of New Mexico decided to do something about that. They decided that idiots cannot vote. Literally. According to the New Mexico Constitution, everyone over 21 who lives in New Mexico can vote, except idiots, insane persons, and persons convicted of a felonious or infamous crime. Now, yes, the word idiot is there, but it should be mentioned that the word idiot back when their constitution was written means something very different than today's definition. Back then, it meant relating to a mental illness or disability, which, now that I think about it, is way worse. In January of 2013, changes to the constitutional language were proposed, but only related to references of him and his to be more gender neutral and equal. In other words, they actively decided to leave the idiots and insane persons part untouched. Ugh, this is what happens when lawmakers spend too much time on Tumblr. Number 8 is the no women driving law in Saudi Arabia. No women can drive? Did we just go back 100 years? No, for real though, this one may or may not shock you, depending on how much you know about Saudi Arabia. First off, it's important to say that although technically there is no specific law banning women from driving, the country is ruled by deeply religious beliefs, one of them being that female drivers undermine social values. In April of 2016, Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud officially stated that Saudi Arabia is just not ready for women drivers. But obviously, not everyone agrees with that. In fact, a 34-year-old woman named Shaima Jestania tried to change the country's beliefs by starting a movement by driving. The result? She was flogged by government officials. And if you think that's bad, women can also not interact with men in any way, compete in any sports, go swimming, or even try on clothes when shopping. But they did just get the right to vote in late 2015, so progress? Number 9 is the no dirty cars law in Russia. Russia is a very cold country with a lot of snow. Now, being from Canada, I can tell you that snow creates a lot of slush and makes things dirty, especially the cars that drive through it. But that doesn't matter to Russian lawmakers, because in the city of Chelyabinsk, it is actually illegal to drive in a dirty car. The fine for doing so is 2,000 rubles or $62, which doesn't sound so bad, but see, Russian police aren't exactly known for being the kindest people in the world, so you'd best not get pulled over for breaking this law. Wow, Matt, that's a weird law. It doesn't get any weirder. In 2013, Russia made an even worse law that received international criticism. It enacted an anti-gay law which was designed to prevent distribution of non-traditional sexual relationships ideas among minors. They're also proposing a ban on McDonald's, smoking for women under 40, rock music, and treasure hunting. But you know what? I think we should stop here while we're ahead, because this is just... And number 10 is the no buying prostitution law in Sweden. Right now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, Matt, of course prostitution is illegal, duh. Except that it's not. Prostitution is actually legal in Sweden. Huh? Yeah, it's confusing, let me explain. The laws of Sweden are so that selling sex is illegal, but buying it is not. And in the past few years, Iceland and Norway have also adopted this weird and confusing law as well. Okay, logically, I genuinely don't understand this. The government is basically saying the following. Well, we don't encourage prostitution, but we don't discourage it either. You know. Yo, Sweden, you want us to have prostitutes or not, man? Speak up. So, those were the 10 craziest laws in the world part 2. But I want to know from you guys in the comments, are there any crazy laws around the world that I may have missed? As always, leave a comment below and let me know exactly what they are and which country they're from, because I want to know just how weird this world gets. We need to have a chat. It's time for some real talk. I've been going to the gym since I was in high school, and I've been to multiple gyms in multiple cities over my life, and one of the things that I've noticed is every gym always has one or two people that don't understand the rules of gym etiquette. But Matt, there's rules for gym etiquette? What's that all about? Yeah, there is, and if you didn't know that, then you need to keep watching this video because you're probably that person. See, every gym has an unwritten set of rules that no one really talks about, but it's just understood that everybody should do when going to the gym. Now, for those of you that didn't know this and just show up to the gym and just do your thing, completely unaware that there's other people at that gym, then like I said, you need to keep watching this video because I'm about to explain to you the unwritten rules of the gym. Rule number 1, personal hygiene. This is kind of a broad topic, but I'm gonna focus in on smells because for some reason, every gym that I've ever been to has that one stinky guy or girl, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, to be clear here, everybody's gonna stink at one point because you are at a gym. You're exercising, you're gonna sweat. To a certain degree, smelliness is acceptable. There's this guy that goes to my gym that the second that he walks through that door, he stanks. And not only that, but he goes on the treadmill and sweats up a storm and makes the entire gym smell just as bad as he does. This guy makes skunks smell like roses. I think the best way I could describe it is he smells like sour old pork chops rolled around in cigarette ashes. I'm not even kidding, it's that bad. I'm not saying you need to prepare like you're going for the club and smell fancy, like have a shower before the gym and like put on cologne and perfume. What I'm saying is, if you smell like a used diaper wrapped in burnt hair, you should probably do something to neutralize that scent before you at least walk into the gym. Rule number 2, wipe off your machines, you dirty pigs. If you go to the gym and you use a machine and you sweat a lot, make sure you wipe off the machine when you're done. I don't want to use the machine after you and lay on it and feel like I'm on a goddamn slip and slide. I was at the gym the other day and there was this big Stay Puffed porkly mother bitch that was doing the pec fly machine like this. And when he was done, he just got up and waddled away like, oh, time to go eat some meatloaf. There was a puddle on the machine from this man's backside, and luckily I caught it before I sat down because had I laid in that, I probably would have puked everywhere. People, every gym you go to has a little spray bottle and a little wipey cloth. Use it. That's what it's there for. I don't want to have to sit down in your dirty, filthy mess. It's making me sick just thinking about it. And this kind of ties into the first point. It's all about personal hygiene. You got to prepare before you go to the gym and do stuff to maintain the gym while you're using it. And it doesn't even matter if you're somebody that sweats a lot or not. You should always wipe the machine or bench off that you've just used so that the next person that uses it knows that it's clean. It's a way to psychologically prepare them for using that machine. Rule number 3, put your goddamn weights away. There's a few guys at my gym that are these big burly Vin Diesel looking motherfuckers. When they lift weights, they lift like 150-pound dumbbells, and when they're done with them, they throw them on the ground, which causes a small earthquake and distracts everybody, and on top of that, they leave them on the ground. Now, why is this a problem? Well, because a lot of the people that work behind a desk at a gym aren't as big as the people that are lifting these monstrous weights. When they gotta lift those, it takes a whole guy or girl just to lift one of the weights, and not only that, but it's a tripping hazard. If you leave your weights out, especially ones that big, if I catch my foot on that bitch, I'm going for a freaking faceplant. And the fourth and final thing that pisses me off is don't use the gym like a social center. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going to the gym with your buddies and having a slight chat between sets, but if you're gonna have like an extended conversation, please go off to the side or into the lobby where you're not gonna use up an entire machine that I've been waiting for, because it drives me nuts. Seriously, there's nothing worse than waiting for a machine and seeing like 2 or 3 guys or girls just like, yeah, so what you do this weekend? Oh yeah, nothing. Still got herpes. Yeah, that sucks. We should probably lift, eh? No, why we gotta lift? I came here to work out my mouth. Number 10 is not visiting your parents in China. Good news for the lonely old people of China, your offspring are now forced to visit you. On July 1st, 2013, the elderly rights law came into effect in China, which states that grown-up children must visit their parents frequently. Isn't that exciting? The law was met with ridicule from many, mostly children who probably didn't want to visit mom and dad. Now, there's no set schedule for how often visits need to be, but the elderly rights law has already become useful in lawsuits filed against ungrateful kids. That's right, if you live in China, you can never fully leave the house. Isn't that exciting? Number 9 is unjust vexation in the Philippines. If you tend to stress people out or make them anxious, maybe don't go to the Philippines. A provision was put into the Philippines Revised Penal Code, declaring that unjust vexation is against the law in that country. Fines for doing so range from 5 to 200 pesos, and in some cases, jail time. Unfortunately, for anyone who finds themselves annoying someone, there's no clear definition for this law. This literally means that anyone who claims that they've been vexed could have the law on their side for a lawsuit. Hey John, I don't like your face, kind of annoying. Lawsuit! Number 8 is forgetting your wife's birthday in Samoa. Most married individuals will probably agree that no matter what country you happen to live in, forgetting your significant other's birthday will bring about severe punishment. But in the country of Samoa, doing so is actually illegal. There's a very real law that states that if a man forgets his wife's birthday, he's unwittingly committing a crime. There doesn't seem to be a law regarding women forgetting their husband's birthdays, though. You hear that, gentlemen? Next time you forget your wife's birthday, it's gonna cost you a lot more than just sleeping on the couch. Better get your bank account ready. Number 7 is no fake proposals in South Carolina. When someone proposes marriage in South Carolina in the US, they better mean it, as it's actually been made illegal to back out. According to this law, any male over 16 years old who uses the premise of marriage to seduce an unmarried woman and then fails to go through with it is guilty of a misdemeanor and, if convicted, could be given a fine as much as a full year in jail. In some cases, the man can avoid the sentence by simply marrying the woman. The choice is theirs. Hey lady, you looking fine. You wants to get married? Better come back to my place first. But I actually have to go through with it. Okay, I'll see you later. No thanks. Number 6 is importing potatoes you suspect might be Polish in England and Wales. It's always good to know where your potatoes come from, but if you live in England or Wales, even suspecting that they might come from Poland forces you to take action. From a legal standpoint, passed in 2004, the Polish potatoes order makes it a crime to import into the countries of England or Wales any potatoes which you know or have reason to suspect come from Poland. Yeah, right, I'll have the chips, please. Unless they come from Poland. Literally, if you want Polish spuds, you have to write to an inspector at least 2 days prior to receiving them. It seems like a lot of work for some fries, or chips in their case. Number 5 is crushing a beer can with breasts in Australia. In June of 2009, Luana DeFavery, a 31-year-old barmaid in rural Western Australia, was issued a staggering fine for using her breasts to crush a beer can in a pub where she was contracted. Let me just recycle that for you. When she asked police what she had done wrong, she was told her actions drew too much attention to her sexuality, and that such things were illegal under Australian law. Yeah, you might want to keep that in mind next time you want to compact your recycling bill a bit. Number 4 is dying in Le Lavandou, France. In the year 2000, a law was passed in Le Lavandou, France that made dying illegal. The mayor of the commune claimed that the very real bylaw prohibiting death was a way of political revenge against the town being denied permission to create a new cemetery due to environmental concerns. He called it an absurd law to counter an absurd situation. Yes, I couldn't agree more. But if this sounds crazy to you, believe it or not, other places in France and in other parts of the world, dying has been made illegal, especially if you don't already have a burial plot paid for. Here's a practical question. How exactly do you enforce that law against someone that's dead? Like, do you dig them up and put handcuffs on them and going, okay, you got a trial and then we're gonna bury you again? It's morbid. Number 3 is having more than 2 vibrators in Arizona. If If you live in the state of Arizona in the United States, you'd best keep a close eye on the number of pleasure toys you have in the house. That's because while having a single one in your home or even two of them is considered acceptable, the powers that be have made it a crime to own any more than that. It doesn't even seem to matter how many people are in the house that want to use them, as it's written, 2 per house. That's right, having 2 or more of these items in your house can actually lead to being charged with criminal possession. Again, how do they enforce something like this? Do the police come through your door and be like, okay, I'm gonna look through your drawers now. Okay, is that a massager? Is that a back massager? Because if it's not, fine. Number 2 is farting after 6 p.m. on a Thursday in Florida. Considered one of Florida's silliest laws, and there are several, this law states that if you feel the need to break wind while out on the town, you'd better check both the clock and the calendar. That's because it's been declared illegal to fart after 6 p.m. on Thursdays. You can't make this stuff up. Luckily, this law is only in effect when the individual is in a public place, such as in a restaurant or at a park or walking in the streets. Exactly why this law exists is unclear, but if enforced, it could do a little to help the air quality. Seriously, all you Floridians, how many of y'all are farting out there? Y'all got some gas? Change your diet, people. And number 1 is handling a salmon in suspicious circumstances in Britain. Yeah, okay, sure, why not? Passed by Parliament in the United Kingdom in 1986, the Salmon Act contains one of the most ridiculous laws ever written. Section 32 of the Act declares that handling salmon in suspicious circumstances is illegal for any citizen, specifically in the countries of England and Wales. Oi, look at this salmon, it is just gonna be delicious, but you don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Apparently, the point of the law is to reduce the amount of poaching going on in regards to the fishing industry, and the maximum penalty for such handling is 2 years in jail. It's illegal to wear a bulletproof vest while committing a crime in New Jersey. In New Jersey, if you plan on committing a crime like say murder, robbery, kidnapping, or pretty much anything else, don't wear a bulletproof vest because, you know, after all, you wouldn't want to break the law. Seriously, who is this going to deter? I mean, if you're already committed to the idea of robbing a bank, I'm pretty sure you're more concerned about a bullet through the chest than you are about the charge for wearing the bulletproof vest. Unless you're some sort of like, you know, ethical thug. So that's how you rob a bank. Alright, I'm ready to do this. What? Bulletproof vests are illegal? Well, damn. The whole thing's off then. We don't want to get in trouble, ain't that right, Dolly? We don't want to disappoint Mama. Traffic fines as a percentage of income in Finland. Traffic fines in Finland aren't fixed like the rest of the world. Instead, they're based on the driver's income as well as the severity of the offense. There are multiple cases of wealthy people that have been charged tens, hundreds of thousands, and yes, even millions of dollars in traffic fines. I know this might sound crazy to some of you, but believe me, I live in Canada and we need this law in North America. Because think about it, it's always the rich guy in the Audi or the BMW that's driving like a maniac. Instead of giving him a $300 fine, which is nothing, let's give him a $300,000 fine and then see how fast he likes to go in his fancy car. Time to tear up the road in my expensive new car. Yellow margarine is illegal in Missouri. This antiquated law from the 19th century somehow has survived till today. Nobody really knows why this law exists. They think that it could have something to do with protecting butter-making farmers way back in the day, but regardless, it could land you a half a year in jail today. Speaking of margarine, I got some right here, only $5. Listen, please, put down the yellow margarine. Oh damn, gotta get rid of the evidence. Oh, Mama, no. Oh, Mama, no. It's illegal to die in the House of Parliament in the UK. In the UK, it's illegal to die in the House of Parliament because it's a royal palace and anyone who dies within it is entitled to a state funeral. The law goes as far as to say that if you even look a little bit sickly, they will physically carry you out of the building. Man, that seems pretty excessive. Like, I get that the government doesn't want to shill out that much money for a state funeral for just anybody, but how often does someone just croak on the spot? God forbid you should cough. Get the bastard! Singapore has a ban on publicly chewing gum. It's only available in pharmacies and only for personal consumption at home or for therapeutic purposes. Whatever that means. The ban on gum occurred after authorities started to notice discarded gum piling up at subway stations, on roads, and pretty much everywhere else. This really sucks though. Like, I get that it's a sticky situation for everybody, but the authorities clearly didn't chew the facts before spitting out their decision. I guess they just don't care that they popped the bubble for gum makers. You can legally marry the dead in France. Yep, in France, you can legally marry a dead person as long as you were engaged to them before they died. This one's just all kinds of wrong. Like, who would ever actually go through with this? Even if you wanted to, you would forever be known as that crazy guy or girl who married their dead fiance. Don't be too surprised though, because France is known for having all kinds of crazy laws. Like, up until February of this year, it was still illegal for women to wear pants in France. So marrying a dead guy is fine, ladies, but don't even think about wearing trousers while doing it, because that would just be wrong. Kissing in public is illegal in Dubai. In fact, any display of affection, including kissing, is illegal in the United Arab Emirates. There are plenty of stories of couples from the UK and North America who vacation there only to spend a month in jail because they simply kissed. Even something as simple as dancing can get you jailed. See, this is why, as luxurious as Dubai is, I would never go there. The things that I like to do on vacation are just too crazy for them, like holding hands or kissing or dancing naked with a chicken while throwing Skittles at people. You know, regular guy stuff. Driving a dirty car is illegal in Russia. In Moscow, it's illegal to drive a dirty car. Now, just how dirty is not defined, but not being able to see the license plate or the driver will definitely get you a ticket. Really, Russia? Are dirty cars the worst of your worries? Russia has 3 times as many homicides as the US every single year. So you would think that maybe, I don't know, preventing murders or finding the murderers would be a bigger priority than, I don't know, keeping gas station car washes in business? I'm just saying. Being fat is illegal in Japan. In 2009, Japanese lawmakers set the maximum waist size for men over 40 at 33 inches and for women over 40 at 35 inches. You know, I get that having less obese people puts less of a strain on the health system, but for this reason alone, I could never live in Japan. Like, I'm not overweight or anything, but I have trouble controlling myself at all-you-can-eat sushi bars here in Canada. If I lived in Japan where sushi is cheap and plentiful, I would weigh probably 500 pounds and permanently be in a sushi coma. Sushi coma. And possibly the strangest of all, Tibetan monks need permission to reincarnate. A law created by the Chinese government in 2007 requires that Tibet monks ask permission from the Chinese government before reincarnating. I know China can be a pretty strict place sometimes, but how do they plan on policing this? It's like all they're trying to do is piss off the Buddhist monks, which isn't gonna work anyways because they got the whole Zen thing going on. The guy who created this law should definitely be worried, because I know that Buddhist monks don't practice revenge, but that doesn't mean that they can't accidentally come back as a seagull and accidentally drop 300 or 400 black and white turds all over you. Accidentally. Number 1 is holding hands. On November 28, 2012, the principal at Westwood High in Mesa, Arizona, gave 2 14-year-old male students a choice between 2 punishments for fighting in class. Their choices were either face a suspension or hold hands for an hour in front of their classmates. They both chose to hold hands and were publicly humiliated in front of their peers who mocked them, questioned their sexuality, and took photos and video on their phones. The punishment was given by Principal Tim Richards, who of course was later criticized by parents for the punishment's degrading connotations towards homosexual students. I would absolutely hold someone's hand for an hour and be like, yeah, at least I'm not getting suspended and I still made my fart joke. Who's really laughing? Number 2 is permanent marker on the face. Oh yeah. On November 5th, 2012, in Declo, Idaho, Declo Elementary School teacher Summer Larson decided to punish a group of 4th grade students who didn't achieve their required reading goals. 9 students were given a choice between staying inside during recess or allowing their classmates to draw on their faces with markers. 3 students chose to miss out on their recess, while 6 were drawn on with permanent ink. When the students arrived home, their outraged parents reported the incident to the school board. Summer Larson was promptly fired from teaching until September of 2013, when she was evaluated and accepted back by the school. Well, hopefully they gave her a choice just like the students got. Either she remains fired or they get to draw a big fat dick on her forehead. Seems fair to me. Number 3 is paddling. Paddling has been a punishment in schools throughout the United States for more than half a century and is, shockingly, still legal in 19 states. Long and flat wooden panels or fiberglass paddles have been used to spank the misbehaving students' butts or the backs of their thighs in some cases, inflicting painful bruising. In the 2006-2007 school year, believe it or not, a reported 517 students were paddled in public schools across the US. A study done by ABC News estimated that an average of 20,000 students are treated at hospitals each year from injuries that they received from paddling. What are we, barbarians? What is this, the Dark Ages? What are we hitting kids for with paddles? You save that for the bedroom, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's inappropriate. Sorry. Number 4 is strip searched. In 2003, 13-year-old Stafford, Arizona student Savannah Redding was accused by another girl of hiding 2 prescription-strength ibuprofen on her person, which were not allowed in the school without advance permission. The assistant principal of Stafford Middle School ordered Savannah to be strip searched by the school nurse. The young teen endured an invasive search of her personal items and clothes, including her underwear. Savannah took her case to the Supreme Court in 2009 with an 8-1 decision ruling in her favor. The ruling restricts invasive searches on students if the item is of no clear danger to other students. I still feel like that's pretty broad though. Why don't we just say like no strip searches? These are like kids. That's like some Jared Fogle stuff. Just no. Number 5 is kneeling on frozen peas. Ouchie! Kneeling for several hours on uncomfortable objects such as frozen peas, rice grains, corn kernels, gravel, and hot paved surfaces is becoming a popular punishment in Asian schools. The trend of this forced kneeling was discovered by people around the world when a female Chinese student took a photo of her own shins after such a punishment was posted online. The photo went viral in November of 2014 and the student ended up getting expelled because of it. Then, in July of 2015, 10-year-old Indian student Kolipaka Asharita died due to complications arising from kneeling for 2 hours as she was instructed to by her grade 5 math teacher. Why? Oh, because she did a horrible thing. She just didn't finish her homework. Let's do a little math here. These punishments plus crazy Asian teachers equals my kids will never ever do an exchange program in Asian countries. Ever. Ever. Number 6 is eating off the floor. In 2009, 5th grade students at Charles Sumner Elementary School in New Jersey were actually forced by school officials to eat lunch off of the cafeteria floor. Given only a small piece of paper to place their food on, the students had to eat carefully to prevent it from touching the dirty ground. The punishment started when one of the students spilled water while refilling a water cooler. The kids were threatened with more punishment if they ever told anyone what they endured. Eventually, 7 of those students sued the school and received a $500,000 settlement. Yo, some of these teachers need to chill the hell out, man. He spilled a little bit of water. It's H2O. It evaporates. You're a teacher. You should know that. Science. Number 7 is a fake prom. In April of 2010, Constance McMillan, a female student at Itawamba Agricultural High School in Mississippi, was banned from her prom because she was a lesbian and she wanted to bring her girlfriend to the dance. Later ridiculed by other senior students when the school ended up canceling prom, she sued the school board for discrimination and, of course, won the right to attend. But because, as you know, some of these schools are a little nuts, the school organized a fake prom for McMillan and her girlfriend, while 30 miles away, the real prom was happening for the rest of the students. 5 mentally challenged students were the only other people in attendance when McMillan arrived at the country club where the prom was supposedly happening. Later, McMillan received $35,000 from the school district for being the subject of the cruel and humiliating joke. Yo, Mississippi, for real? It's 2016, man. Guys love guys, women love women. You just being a-holes. a-holes. Number 8 is being arrested. Several schools have resorted to locking up students for misdemeanors as punishment. In fact, in 2012, 17-year-old honor student Diane Tran spent 24 hours in a Willis, Texas jail for missing too much school. And she was absent because she was working 2 jobs to support her 2 siblings after their parents suddenly divorced. In 2011, a 5-year-old student in Mississippi was arrested for not adhering to school dress code because he had come to school with the wrong colored shoes when his parents couldn't afford to purchase a black pair. Some students arrested in Mississippi for minor offenses like talking too much were also tormented with mace in a small cramped cell. Macing students. Mace students. What? Number 9 is locked in the closet. In May of 2012, pre-kindergarten students at Varnett Charter School in Houston, Texas, were locked in a dark closet as punishment for acts as minor as laughing in class. Oh, and as if the small dark closet wasn't enough to traumatize the 3 and 4-year-olds, they were told beforehand that the closet had a terrifying monster living in it. The teacher and the teacher's aide would tell the children about the monster and then place them in the closet for 5 minutes while holding the door closed. It got so bad that one child actually vomited from the stress and fear of the punishment. An investigation was launched into the matter and the teacher was promptly terminated. They also should have been promptly forced to eat the barf. That's freaking rude, man. And number 10 is locked in an isolated room. Isolation cells or scream rooms are primarily used to calm mentally challenged students during violent fits so that they cannot hurt other students. Well, these cells were reportedly used more than 110,000 times between 2011 and 2012, according to the US Department of Education and Civil Rights. And in one case led to the suicide of 13-year-old Jonathan King, who hung himself with a cord in a concrete cell of his Georgia elementary school in 2004. In November of 2012, Mint Valley Elementary School in Longview, Washington was found to have used a padded isolation cell. The mother of one student, Anna Bates, took photos of the cell, which she posted on Facebook in an outrage, which caused the school to remove the chamber and reconsider its design and usage regulations. There should never be a cell in a school. Like, this is not jail time, my friends. This is a learning environment. This world, man, I do not want to be here anymore. Being an infotainer or edutainer, edu-creator, whatever, I feel the obligation to clear up a lot of these, especially because many of you are still in school. So let's jump right into it. Here are 7 myths you still believe about school. More homework equals higher grades. This one's going to bring a smile to every kid who hates doing homework. So, everybody. The system teaches us that doing copious amounts of homework for hours every night is the best and only way to improve your grades. Well, sorry to burst your academic bubble, but studies actually show that the amount of homework that a student is given actually correlates to the amount of stress that the student is under more than anything. And to take it a step further, it's been proven that stress directly hinders a student's ability to learn. And while in some cases, homework can improve grades in some students, in most studies, performance and the amount of homework that students do after class share little connection. In fact, in a number of countries, students show higher academic achievement with almost no homework. Really, it's all about paying attention in class and learning while you're there. Don't be wasting your time by throwing spitballs and doing fart jokes. Well, okay, do some fart jokes. Fart jokes are great. The friends you make in high school are friends for life. Think about it, were all the friends you made in elementary school still super tight with you when you made the transformation to high school students? Well, maybe a few, but you quickly started gathering new friends, right? The truth is, growing up often means growing apart from your old friends, especially as your time becomes more and more filled and your personal goals change. Speak to any adult, only a very lucky few still keep in close contact with their childhood friends. And the same goes for high school friends. The odd one will still be your friend through adulthood, but most of them will become acquaintances. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as you grow as a person, you attract new people who share your new vision and often are better for your life. So for example, you want to get a PhD, but your friend Mike just wants to play Pogs. Time to let go of Mike. The smaller the class, the better the education. This myth is most often spread by political ads and even makes logical sense when you think about it. Well, surprisingly, the truth is, believe it or not, counterintuitive. In a series of studies done by economists, teachers, and university graduates, it was found that the number of students in a standard classroom had little to no effect on the scoring that those students received on tests. Now, to be fair, in some places, classrooms are well over capacity, which can hurt a student's achievement. But in general, the biggest factor is the teacher and the presentation of the material. So in other words, it's all about having a fun teacher, not the one that drags his ass into class and is like, "Hello kids, alright, sit down, don't have any fun." Ain't nobody got time for that. Student grades have gotten worse in North America. Now, while there are many reasons why parents and politicians talk about this so much, the truth is that it's actually quite untrue. According to research conducted on classrooms over the last decade in North America, we're actually seeing an increase in performance levels. In fact, Canada and America both score above the international average. Yeah, Yanks and Canucks. Kicking ass. Zero-tolerance schools are safer. Your logic probably tells you that schools with more rules and harsher punishments against things like violence and dangerous behavior would decrease those things, right? Well, as it turns out, not necessarily. David C. Berliner, an educational psychologist, and Jean Glass, a senior researcher at the National Education Policy Center, looked into violence and other dangerous activities in schools. What they discovered is that schools with lots of rules and punishments may actually be doing more harm than good. There is no evidence whatsoever that such policies reduce violence on school properties. What the research has actually shown us is that educating students on social skills and crisis management has a much greater effect than simply making the consequences of rule breaking more severe. So instead of being like, "Johnny is suspended for a month," be like, "Johnny, here's how you're supposed to handle that situation. Don't throw glass at girls." See the difference? Yes, it's nicer, isn't it? Students' education comes mostly from school. Most of us think that our teachers in school taught us the majority of what we know, but that's not actually the case at all. Research shows that less than 30% of a student's success academically is attributed to what teachers in schools teach them. It's actually external factors such as socioeconomic status, the neighborhood that the student lives in, and the quality, both physically and psychologically, of their home environment. Those are all much more impactful factors on how well a student does. That's not to put down what teachers do. I don't want a group of angry teachers rolling up on me at the next event with like rulers and chalk being like, "What did you say?" High school years are the best years of your life. As someone who has graduated university with a master's degree and has lived in the real world, I promise you that your high school years are not the best years of your life. Alright, well, while this might be true for a very select few of you, the truth is you do the most growth, learn the most, and meet the most interesting people when you leave high school. Oftentimes, people report that the best years of their lives by far were when they entered university or college, or even after they graduated. So if you didn't like grade school or high school, I promise you, life gets a lot more fun once you graduate. In other words, there's a lot to look forward to. Number 10 is bringing the wrong lunch. In October of 2010, 17-year-old Ashley Smithwick arrived for class at Southern Lee High School in Sanford, North Carolina, only to find herself in big trouble for a little mistake. Upon arriving, school officials inspected her bag and found in her lunchbox that she was carrying a small green paring knife. The incident occurred after Ashley accidentally swapped lunchboxes with her father, Joe Smithwick, before leaving the house that morning. Mr. Smithwick kept the knife in his pail so he could cut up apples, but the officials claimed it was a weapon, capable of hurting much more than just fruit. "I'm a fruit ninja, I swear!" They suspended Ashley for the remainder of her senior year, and she was officially charged with a misdemeanor, specifically the possession of a weapon on school grounds. Yeah, to anyone watching, if you're in school, just use your teeth. Teeth are not tools, but they're better than a knife. Number 9 is being concerned about potassium. Apparently, caring about someone's well-being is a suspendable offense. During a playoff soccer game at Bloomfield Hills High School in Michigan, senior Jay Cook was in the stands when he noticed a player on the opposite team was having a cramp. Cook, who plays football for Bloomfield Hills, recognized a potential cause for the boy's pain and called out, "Get that boy a banana!" The thing is, officials thought the comment was racist, mostly due to the fact that the player was African American and actually suspended Cook from playing in the final football game of the year. Many students came forward saying Cook was not being racist, but knew that potassium would help the boy's cramp. The district reversed the decision and dealt out an unexplained alternative discipline. I don't know what that was, but maybe they should have just made him eat lots of bananas as a punishment. Eat, boy, eat! Number 8 is correcting the teacher. On April 20th, 1994, a boy identified only as Alex brought home a note to his mother from his teacher, Mr. Hilliker, explaining why he was going to have detention 2 days later. In the note, it was revealed that Alex was disruptive in class and kept insisting that Hilliker was wrong about a kilometer being longer than a mile. It went on to claim that every other student simply accepted the teacher's word for it, but Alex consistently defied Hilliker and kept correcting him. Alex was, of course, correct, as a mile is longer than a kilometer, but still he received detention for showing a blatant disrespect for authority and a complete lack of respect for his school. Apparently, just because a teacher is wrong at this school doesn't mean that the student has the right to correct him. Well, little do you know that this teacher was right, and also the sky is purple, and the earth is flat, and the entire universe revolves around Earth. So there's something for you. Number 7 is having a green Jolly Rancher. When 10-year-old Leah Nader was handed a green Jolly Rancher while in class at Brazos Elementary School in Wallace, Texas in April of 2010, she had no idea how huge a rule she'd violated. The district was pushing for a reduction in junk food being consumed, and Jolly Ranchers are, of course, just that. Her teacher immediately took the unopened candy from the 3rd grader, and despite the school not having any guidelines over punishing a student for breaking the no candy rule, issued a week-long detention for her. After she came home crying and explained the situation, Leon's family quickly came to her aid, fighting with the school board over the ridiculousness of the punishment compared to the crime. Yeah, crime. Delicious candy crime. Unfortunately, the school officials upheld the punishment. Number 6 is Grandma's Cake. Hello, Sonny. Would you like a cookie, son? In 2009, 11-year-old Keza Houghton chose to enter the running for 5th grade mayor at Leisure Elementary School in Newark, Delaware. To influence votes for her campaign, her grandmother sent her to school one day with a pair of cakes in order to share them with her classmates. However, in an innocent move along with the cake, plates, forks, and napkins, her grandmother had sent a knife to cut it up. Oh, we already know how this turns out. No knives in school, kids. The teacher cut up the cake, served all the students, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. But shortly after, the teacher turned the girl in for bringing a weapon to school. Hey man, that's like having your cake and eating it too. She was suspended, alarming her parents, who got in touch with the local news station. After the bad press, the school scrambled to fix things, and the suspension was lifted. Number 5 is a kiss on the hand. In early December of 2013, a 6-year-old boy named Hunter Yelton was suspended from Lincoln School of Science and Technology in Canyon City, Colorado. But the reason for it had his mother up in arms. Was it a knife again? Let's find out. The incident behind the suspension involved Hunter kissing a 6-year-old female classmate on the hand, a girl who he believed to be his girlfriend and whom allegedly had referred to him multiple times as her boyfriend. The peck was labeled by the school as sexual harassment, but after a short fight led by his mother, the label was changed to misconduct. The young boy's family has insisted the kiss on the hand was a consensual and innocent act, but the young girl's family strongly disagrees, and Hunter found himself suspended for 4 days over it. Consent is important, friends, but it also kind of kills the mood when you're like, wait, can I kiss you? You have to write on this contract that says that I can kiss you. Also, can you record it on my phone so I have proof? Thanks. Number 4 is having a clock. On September 14th, 2015, a 9th grader with a love of science found himself hauled out of his school in handcuffs. Ahmed Muhammad, a 14-year-old student attending MacArthur High School in Irving, Texas, arrived to class ready and excited to show off his latest tinkering project, a digital clock he built all by himself. You can probably see where this is going. However, staff at the school mistakenly believed the teenager had brought in a bomb. They quickly called 911 and police arrived, soon after taking Ahmed into custody. After the incident, he was cleared of all charges but still received a 3-day suspension. That's a long amount of time. See, because he brought in a clock. After the news hit the internet, the teen received tweets of support from a number of people, including Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and then President of the United States Barack Obama. Number 3 is carrying a leaf. On September 22nd, 2014, an unidentified 11-year-old boy began showing off a marijuana leaf to his classmates from the Gifted and Talented program at Bedford Middle School in Bedford, Virginia, before hiding it back in his backpack. After arriving for class, an assistant principal inspected his bag and found the leaf. The boy, who happens to be the son of 2 school teachers, was suspended and brought up on charges in the juvenile court system, much to his relatives' shock. He was forced to enter an alternative education program and was faced with being homeschooled while also seeing a psychiatrist for substance abuse. However, after 3 separate tests revealed the leaf was not pot at all but a maple leaf, the charges were dropped. Sadly, the poor kid still has to change schools and was searched at the end of every day. Being a Canadian, I can tell you, those maple leafs are trouble. Oh boy. Number 2 is potentially having Advil. Got a headache? Leave school! On October 8th, 2003, 13-year-old Savannah Redding, an 8th grader at Safford Middle School at Safford, Arizona, was pulled out of class and brought to the nurse's office. After arriving, Redding, an honor student at the school, was put through a strip search conducted by school officials who were looking for contraband, specifically of all things ibuprofen. Vice Principal Carrie Wilson had caught a fellow student with the painkillers in her possession, a student who claimed Redding had given it to her. With only that statement to go on, Wilson pulled the teen out of class and ordered the search, which thoroughly embarrassed the teen. However, no drugs of any kind were found. Yeah, because she gave him away and or sold them. The US Supreme Court later decided the search was a violation of Savannah's 4th Amendment rights. And number 1 was saving a fellow student from an asthma attack. On January 19, 2016, 15-year-old Anthony Ruelas was suspended from Gateway Middle School in Killen, Texas, for a truly unbelievable reason. He attempted to save the life of a fellow classmate. During 5th period, a female student began coughing and gagging as if something was blocking her airway. The teacher sent an email to the school's nurse, but shortly after the young girl fell out of her chair and onto the floor, where she was continuing to wheeze and struggling to breathe. Side note, quick pause. If someone's choking, don't take the time to send an email and be like, you're choking, okay, let me email the authorities to see what I can do. The teacher told everyone to stay calm as she awaited a response to her email. Deciding that the idea was, what do you call that? A bad idea? He decided that we ain't got no time to wait for no email. He scooped up the girl and carried her to the nurse's office, receiving a suspension because he walked out of class. Yeah, he defied the teacher and he got suspended. Number 1 is singing Happy Birthday. If you've ever sang the song Happy Birthday in a public place, believe it or not, you've broken the law. Surprise! The song was actually copyrighted back in 1935, and technically, you need to pay royalties in order to use it. Now, you might be thinking, well, right, that's technically the law, but nobody actually abides by it. Well, actually, that song brings in an estimated $2 million a year, so somebody's paying it. The copyright to the song was purchased by Warner Music in 1988 for $25 million, and since then has been the topic of multiple lawsuits. Now, the song remains in a huge gray area at the moment, but most legal professionals realistically consider the song to be in a public domain at this point. However, Warner Music would disagree, mostly because the song is the highest earning single song in history, as well as the most recognizable song in the English language. But don't worry, you keep singing that happy birthday song. Whatever makes you feel good, baby, you stick it to the man with your bad self. Number 2 is connecting to unsecured Wi-Fi networks. Let's be completely honest, some of you get pretty excited when you see your neighbor has unsecured Wi-Fi, free surfing and no bill. Good times, except that it can get you thrown in prison. Connecting to an unsecured Wi-Fi connection falls under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which makes it a crime to have unauthorized access to anyone's computer or their Wi-Fi. How serious is it? Well, in the United States, it's a third-degree felony that carries a prison sentence of up to 2 years in jail and up to $10,000 in fines. Now, realistically, will this happen? Probably not, but I wouldn't want to test getting caught. Besides, if you really want Wi-Fi, just come over to my place. My Wi-Fi is Bill Nye the Science Fi, and the password is Science Rules. I'm a loner. Number 3 is selling stuff online. Most of us at some point have sold something online, whether it's through eBay or some other online merchant. And these sites have very clear rules when it comes to selling things like bootleg movies, alcohol, and tobacco products. This you already know. But did you know that anything you sell online, big or small, must be claimed as income on your federal tax return? Oh yeah, you're going to jail because you sold an old sweater. Sorry. No, of course I'm kidding. Chances are the federal government is not going to find out about the $10 that you made off of selling your old pogs, but the fact remains that the law requires you to claim that money. In fact, theoretically, the IRS, CRA, or whatever governing tax body your country has doesn't care where your income comes from as long as you claim it and pay taxes on it. This literally means that if you're a drug dealer, you better be claiming all those dime bags you're selling, baby. Although nobody really expects all you mini Pablo Escobars out there to start paying your fair share of taxes, so you go on your way. Number 4 is throwing away junk mail. Okay, be honest, if you've ever moved into a new place, what do you do with the junk mail that you received that was meant for the previous tenants? How many times have you actually written return to sender or person has moved on those envelopes and taken the time to go back to the post office? I'ma guess none of you. Most people in those situations wind up throwing those pieces of mail in the garbage, but guess what? It's super illegal. In fact, it's a federal crime to open, destroy, or otherwise tamper with another person's mail. And that includes tossing it in the trash, even junk mail. How illegal is it? Well, try a $250,000 fine and potentially 5 years in prison. Yikes. Number 5 is carrying a marker. If you like crafts, prepare to cry. Believe it or not, if you've ever carried a marker like a Sharpie or any other kind of permanent writing tool, depending on where you are, you likely broke the law. This is because many places have passed anti-graffiti laws that ban you from carrying aerosol cans or permanent markers. In the US, many states like New York and California have even passed laws making it illegal to buy markers if you're under the age of 18. The government considers them graffiti tools, and although it's unlikely that you'll be frisked, or for that matter arrested, in many states it's not worth the risk. Number 6 is using a car air freshener. That air freshener hanging from your rear view mirror making your whole ride smell like pine trees and bird songs is actually illegal. According to many cities, states, and highway patrol agencies, anything that hangs to impede your view of your windshield, even a small amount, can lead to an accident and therefore is against the law. Yes, this includes most air fresheners, hanging dice, sunglasses, or anything else that restricts your field of vision. Even though it might seem completely silly, it's been proven that even a tree-style air freshener can completely block out someone on a motorcycle if it sits at the right angle. Number 7 is betting with your friends. If you've ever been hanging with your friends and you all start placing bets, say on a game like football or basketball, you may have actually broken the law. According to the Illegal Gambling Act in the US, if there were 5 or more people involved in a total of $2,000 or more, it constitutes illegal gambling and is punishable for up to 10 years in prison. Now, you likely haven't bet that much, so you're probably okay. But if you ever had a poker night with the dudes, there's a chance that amount may have been involved. Now don't worry, you're not going to prison. Unless someone narcs on you. Watch out for that new guy with a mustache. You can't trust anyone with a mustache. Number 8 is throwing snowballs. As a kid growing up in Canada, snowball fights were super common, as they are pretty much anywhere else in the world that it gets cold. It's one of the only benefits that we get for living in a giant freezer for 6 months of the year. But because it's on this list, you guessed it, throwing snowballs and the act of hitting someone with it is actually assault. Now before you roll your eyes and think that that's stupid, in February of 2014, a 13-year-old boy in Chicago Chicago threw a snowball and hit a police officer in the arm. And guess what? The boy was arrested, brought up on felony charges, and was suspended from school for 5 days. And that wasn't the only case. In 2010, 5 young men in New York City were arrested for the same thing. So obviously, the moral of the story here is don't throw snowballs. Throw the snowball, hit him in the head, and just run as fast as you can. Get away, just laugh it. Laugh as you go, because you got him good. Number 9 is using fake names online. If you've never done this, you haven't been on the internet. Everyone at some point has entered fake info online for something, whether it's an online registration form, a Facebook name, or some gaming site. And again steps in the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. That act forbids anyone from using a false name for signing up for anything, and believe it or not, doing so constitutes hacking and is punishable for up to 20 years in prison. That's right, you want to think again about calling yourself Tony Flamingo? But hey, you're thinking nobody's actually gonna go to jail for something like that, right? Nope. In 2010, a prison guard named Matthew Lacroix was arrested for creating a fake Facebook profile for his boss. And arrests like this are becoming much more common as cyberbullying and fraud continues to grow, so don't risk it. P.S. If anyone leaves a comment on this video with the username Tony Flamingo, I will personally respond to it. And number 10 is swearing in public. Everybody at some point swears. In fact, studies suggest that swearing is a healthy and natural way to relieve anger. But believe it or not, if other people hear you, you just broke the law. In many places, including the United States and Canada, the criminal code states that if swearing causes other people in the vicinity to take notice, then it is indeed an offense that can be met with fines and, yes, even jail time. It falls under creating a public disturbance or disturbing the peace, so be careful. Number 10 is it's illegal to drive blindfolded in Alabama. Did you really need a law for this one? I don't think so. This common sense law defies common sense that it even needs to be a law. But if the good people in the state legislature in Montgomery are setting a law, someone must have been flying blind down a road in Sweet Home, Alabama. In 2014, the Alabama Department of Motor Vehicles created a new rule for the road. It prohibits the obstruction of driver's view or driving mechanism. In other words, at some point, somebody must have been driving down the street with something covering their eyes to be like, let's see how fast I can go. Yeah! Most of these laws are created just to save ourselves from ourselves. Number 9 is a woman can't marry the same man 4 times in Kentucky. Kentucky is famous for its purebred horses, namesake music being bluegrass, and its famous export, bourbon. And that last one might be the reason that lawmakers decided to make this law, because they were just having a little too much. Southern belles of Kentucky are free to marry and divorce 3 different men 3 times, or 4 men twice. But forget about marrying the same man 4 times, that's a big no-no. You know, there's probably some logic to this law, because if it didn't work out the first 3 times, why would you try it a 4th? Some people believe that this law was created to prevent unnecessary divorce proceedings clogging up the courts. Although, at the end of the day, if someone wants to marry someone 4 times, well, they should be able to do that. However, it's probably not going to work out because it's been 4 times. So, you know, maybe go find someone else that's nice. Maybe on a dating website. You never know. Number 8 is it's illegal to sell your eyeballs in Texas. They say that Texas is one of the freest states in the United States of America, with its guns, barbecue, and rodeo clowns. But one thing that you can't do in the Lone Star State is sell your own eyeballs. Wait, why would you want to do that? You only have 2. What? Well, that sounds downright un-American, considering your body is a gold mine full of blood, hair, bodily fluids, and even organs considered non-essential to survive that you could sell off. Although I wouldn't recommend it because that's some black market stuff. But somebody at some point must have tried, because Texas Penal Code 4802, set into law in 2009, prohibits the sale of human organs, including kidneys, livers, hearts, and of course those beautiful peepas. Those found guilty of this can face up to a year in county jail plus a $4,000 fine. But for Texans still tempted to harvest your own organs, you are allowed to sell your hair and blood plasma. I'd also like to mention that this is just a misdemeanor. That's it. For selling your eyeballs. What's wrong with you people? Number 7 is trick-or-treating is illegal after 12 years old in Virginia. I mean, is this one really so bad? Do you really want someone like me walking up being like, trick or treat, I'm so lonely? Virginia may be for lovers, but it's certainly not for teenagers on Halloween night, where kids older than 12 are forbidden from trick-or-treating. As little ghosts, ghouls, and goblins terrorize their neighborhoods for candy, it's the Virginia teenagers who are considered the real monsters. Various city codes have legally restricted them since the 1970s from trick-or-treating. Cheapskate teens who break the law can be subject to $100 fines and even 6 months in jail. Considered a Class 4 misdemeanor, the laws are surprisingly difficult to enforce, but are seen as a way to curb the tricks such as vandalism, egging, and TPing. Well, you can stop me from trick-or-treating, but you can't stop me from dressing up on Halloween. You know, I'm always gonna go out as Christopher Walken. It's crazy. It's creepy. Number 6 are no couches on porches in Boulder, Colorado. You'd think that Colorado, one of the most libertarian states in the nation that was the first to sell recreational marijuana, would let you put your couch wherever the heck you want. But not in Boulder, Colorado, where a sofa ordinance is in full effect on University Hill near the University of Colorado campus. Get off your porch, no sitting there, it's the devil. Now, the law may sound ridiculous at first, but the Boulder students have a tendency to light easily accessible furniture found on porches on fire late at night after parties. Believe it or not, incidents have led to vehicles and homes catching on fire in the dry, fire-prone region, so the city controls the top-tiered academic pyromaniacs by issuing $100 citations for first-time offenders. And that $100 could buy a lot of beer, and that is enough to stop any university student, so well done. Number 5 is mustachioed men cannot kiss women in public in Eureka, Nevada. Legally speaking, Movember is a romantic dead zone in Eureka, Nevada, where mustachioed males are forbidden from kissing women in public. Meh, come here, honey, you wanna kiss me? Meh. Mustache laws were passed in states and municipalities all over the United States during the 18th and 19th centuries to govern the tidiness of men's facial hair. Mustache discrimination was commonplace throughout the early 20th century, with men actually found guilty of contempt, and a Washington, D.C. firefighter actually won the right to keep his stash and job thanks to the District of Columbia Human Rights Act. However, the Eureka law still discriminates against horny hipsters and old-timey saloon proprietors, but it is no longer enforced. So all you criminal mustachioed masterminds with your handlebar or curly cues can grab your girl and cry out Eureka. Number 4 is minors can't play pinball in South Carolina. Tommy the Pinball Wizard from the Who's classic 1975 double album couldn't have become the arcade wonder kid in South Carolina, where minors aren't allowed to play. Now, this law is of course ridiculous and arcane, but back in the day of penny arcades, pinball machines dispensed tickets and tokens that could be redeemed for cash and prizes. So technically, playing pinball was gambling, and an arcade was akin to a casino, so many states adopted similar measures to protect children from vice and depravity. By the mid-1970s, various US courts ruled that pinball was a game of skill, unlike a slot machine. So the pinball law requiring an ID to play was of course nullified across the country, including South Carolina, yet the law still stands on the books. Hey kid, you wanna play some pinball? Give me some quarters, we'll make it happen. Number 3 is that donkeys can't sleep in bathtubs in Kingman, Arizona. This crazy law kind of makes an ass out of Arizonians because donkeys have been banned from sleeping in bathtubs since 1924. Why gotta be discriminatory? Them asses gotta clean themselves too. Nobody likes a dirty ass. Clean ass. Ass jokes. But besides the obvious queries like why would a donkey sleep in a bathtub and how would it even fit, there is actually historical precedent for this law. In Kingman, Arizona, a rancher had a spoiled donkey who preferred napping in a tub to the drafty old barn. But then a dam broke, flooding the town and surrounding the area, including the rancher's land, taking his precious donkey down the wash into the basin. After the town devoted considerable resources and and manpower to rescue the donkey in its porcelain sleeping quarters, they enacted the law banning donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs after 7 p.m. So I guess before then, it's okay. Logic, not the strongest suit of a lot of lawmakers, clearly. Number 2 is bear wrestling matches are outlawed in Alabama. Leave it to Alabama to show up twice in one video with their weird laws, like this one that prohibits the unlawful bear exploitation, which is good, except it also includes wrestling bears. In the time before Facebook, YouTube, and Netflix, Alabamans got their thrills at county fairs watching bear wrestling matches, either bear versus bear or, yes, you guessed it, bear versus man. Promoters of these matches claimed bears were natural wrestlers, with their ability to stand on their hind legs, and their brute strength was a marvel of nature. But of course it was next level animal cruelty, which is not okay. You treated them animals nice. In May of 1996, the Alabama Senate voted unanimously to ban bear wrestling for profit. So therefore, surgically altering a bear or training it to wrestle is now a Class B felony. But, and this one's just gonna twist your mind, Alabamans can still legally wrestle a bear in the wild on the bear's own terms. Bro, you wanna go? You're in my world now. And number 1 is you can be arrested for harassing Bigfoot in Skamania County, Washington. Well, this one's just the cherry on the crazy cake. Bigfoot must have one heck of a lawyer because he has the law on his side in the gun-happy Pacific Northwest, where you can go to jail for 1 year if you shoot him. Granted, there's no scientific proof that Bigfoot actually exists, but hey, why not have a law protecting him, huh? The Sasquatch, which is Native American language for large hairy man monster, was first sighted in 1811 in Alberta, Canada, and has been seen across North America, especially in Skamania County. The county commissioners, concerned with all the heavily armed paranormal hunters visiting, declared a Sasquatch protection and refugee area in 1984. And believe it or not, it was even followed in 1991 by neighboring Whatcom County and its 1 million plus acres. Rule number 1, prepare. During the first few days of the zombie apocalypse, stock up on canned goods, dehydrated foods, weapons, medicines, clothing, fuel, and pretty much anything else your vulture ass can get your hands on. It's also equally important to stock this stuff where you're well protected, because when supplies get low, it won't just be the zombies that you're looking out for. Other survivors are going to be going after your supplies like Oprah goes after bacon. Rule number 2, wear running shoes. Most of your upcoming days will consist of a lot of running, so if you don't want to become zombie food, I suggest you get a durable pair of running shoes. Ladies, this means throwing out all of your high heel shoes. Believe me, you don't want to become that stereotypical dumb chick in every single horror movie that trips and gets munched on by a monster, all because you wanted to wear a nice pair of stilettos. Another good option is a good sturdy pair of steel toe boots, because you never know when you're gonna have to foot mash a couple zombie skulls, you know what I'm saying? Rule number 3, avoid fat people. Now, I'm not trying to sound politically incorrect, I'm just telling you the facts. They're just going to slow you down and get you killed. Think about it, have you ever seen a fat person survive a zombie movie? No, and there's a good reason for that. A fat person to a zombie is like a hippo to a lion, it's easy pickings. Rule number 4, stay somewhere isolated. The safest 3 countries to be during a zombie apocalypse in order are Australia and Canada because of their isolated geography, and the United States because there's basically no shortage of weapons to defend yourself with. And if you really want to add extra safety, surround yourself with a body of water, because zombies aren't exactly known to be graceful swimmers. Rule number 5, always carry a weapon. Remember, the only way to kill a zombie is to destroy the brain. The best way to do this is a direct hit to the skull, so you should carry a weapon on you that's both accurate and light enough that you could pull it out at any moment's notice. Good examples are a gun, a samurai sword, or the classic baseball bat. Just be careful when you swing that shit to protect your eyes and any open wounds, because there's bound to be some gooey zombie juice that's gonna spray your way, and you don't want the infection to reach your bloodstream. Rule number 6, rely on common sense. It is very important that everybody rely on their common sense during a zombie apocalypse for 2 important reasons. The first is that good common sense will come in handy by allowing you to make good decisions which should keep you alive. The second is that, frankly, the world is full of too many dumb people, and we don't want them around when it's time to repopulate the earth, so we should just let them die off. Number 7, stay in a group. Always stay with a group of people. Remember, there's strength in numbers. Don't go off wandering like it's some Scooby-Doo mystery. You're trying to stay alive. No matter how tempting it is, never split up and never try to be a hero. Remember, the first guy to die is always the one that's like, I'll be right back. And also as important, make sure that you elect a leader that isn't a little bitch. You have enough problems with zombies knocking on your door. You don't need Johnny Bitch Pants crying in the corner at the very moment that you need his leadership. Rule number 8, carry a toothbrush. Now I know what you're thinking, a toothbrush? There's friggin' zombies knocking on my door. What do I need a goddamn toothbrush for? Well, studies have shown that there's a direct link between the health of your mouth and the health of the rest of your body. There's no point in fighting off zombies if you're dying from bad hygiene. Plus there's the added bonus, if you don't have a weapon with you and you're getting attacked by a zombie, you can always shank it in the face with a nice sharpened toothbrush. Rule number 9, have a backup for everything. Backup generators, batteries, ammunition, food, escape routes, weapons, vehicles, and even your leader. When shit goes down, every second counts. By the time you look for that extra gun clip, a zombie's already knocked down your door and chosen you as its bitch. Just remember that. And rule number 10, don't get bitten. This is the most important rule. Avoid getting bitten at all costs. Because if you get bitten, it's game over for you. If you do get bitten, you basically have 2 options. One is off yourself, and the second is tell your friends. There's basically no other choice unless you're okay with becoming one of the undead. Besides, I'm sure your friends will be very gentle with that axe or chainsaw or sawed-off shotgun.